chapter 43. What Mrs. Cushel says. Time passes in school the way it always does. Mrs. Cushel changes the bulletin board from holidays to we are all artists. Some of the snow melts, and for a while the playground is muddy and wet instead of snowy and wet. The next holiday will be Martin Luther King Jr. Day. On a morning that is dark and rainy and chilly, Mrs. Liebler walks me to our classroom as usual. But something that is not usual is that Mrs. Cushel takes me to the back of the room as soon as I have hung up my coat and put my things in my desk. I want to speak with you privately, Rose, she says. I wonder if I have done something that she and Mrs. Liebler will write about in the weekly note to my father. Okay, I say, and think about homonyms. Tied and Tide is a new one. I wanted to let you know that the newspaper got a call about rain yesterday. Tide, died. Are you listening to me, Rose? Yes. A man named Jason Henderson phoned. He said someone had just sent him the article and that Rain is his family's dog. The newspaper put him in touch with Happy Tales, and Mrs. Capperell is certain that he and his family are Rain's original owners. All their information matches up with the information from Rain's chip. Also, they have lots of photos of themselves with Rain. Mrs. Cushel pauses and looks at me seriously. I don't know whether this is good news or bad news. The article worked, I say. Yes, it did. Would you like to know how Rain got separated from the Hendersons? Yes. They always took her collar off when she was in the house so that it wouldn't get snagged on anything. One day the Hendersons went out and left Rain at home alone. A neighbor dropped by to leave something in their kitchen, and Rain slipped outside without her collar. The neighbor didn't see her leave, so it was several hours before anyone knew she was missing. This happened 2 days before your father found her, Rose. The Hendersons weren't responsible after all, I say. It was an accident. Rain left their house without her collar, just like she left our house after the storm without her collar. Yes, a sad accident. We'll never know how Rain wound up so far from home, but she did. The Hendersons looked for her in their town. They put up flyers and placed an ad in the paper, but no one called to say they had found her. Because we had her. Mrs. Cushel tilts her head to the side. But now you've done a very brave thing, like Mrs. Perlman said. Okay. The rest of the story you learned yourself. The Hendersons had to abandon their home after the storm, and they're living with relatives now. That's why it was so hard to locate them. Mrs. Cushel pauses. They want Rain back, Rose. They love her and miss her and want her very badly. Okay.